Hello folks, this is Ben Gussel. I'm going to try to make some more videos here tonight and hopefully the next few days. Okay, so first off the bat here, I'm going to talk about the Illuminati a little bit more in detail. At least how my opinions of the Illuminati. And like many subjects, this is a subject that a lot of folks shy away from, or a lot of folks are unsure if it's something that's okay to put on YouTube, or I have a pretty good idea of what kinds of things are not the greatest things to put publicly on YouTube, but it just all depends on, I don't know. The world's a crazy place, and these are just my opinions. Now, there are quite a few subjects that, again, I just haven't talked about yet. Thousands of subjects, and by bit I'll try to get to all these subjects in all these different kinds of things. And there are some areas that I try to focus on a bit more. Of course, I think you guys that have seen some more of my videos know what they are. Music and imaginative things, and some other things too that are kind of emotional or have to do with the subconscious to some degree. Okay, so let's just go through some of these different aspects, because this is a subject that touches on a number of different subjects, and I'll be leaving a fair number of links in the description of this video. And most of what I'm talking about here are things that I've read or I've watched on YouTube, or have been, books in the past, that sort of thing. Things that my relatives have talked about. First up, right off the bat here, regarding the Illuminati. I want to talk about some of the things I've read or watched regarding the Catholic Church. But not just the Catholic Church, but primarily the Catholic Church, and specifically the Jesuit order, regarding any links with those guys and the Illuminati. And of course, I realize this is a really, really controversial subject. And this is something right off the bat that I think a lot of people are, I'm familiar with the pit in your stomach feeling when someone starts talking about something negative about your religion. So I'm going to keep this in mind very keenly, because some of the same things have been said about my church, the Mormon Church, LDS Church, regarding the Illuminati, any connections with us and them. So I will be very fair, and I'm going to say at the outset, a lot of what we're talking about here is still, it's not completely in the public eye, but a lot of this is getting more factual. Yeah, and most people just are afraid about losing their jobs and things, because that's why they won't talk about this stuff. But whether or not they we'll talk about this, this is something that's become more and more. And some of these things are a bit more apparent than other things, or a bit more obvious, we'll put it that way. So, if anybody, is over the age of 16 or so, I don't know, in that ballpark. So, again, the Catholic Church, the Jesuit order. It's really, when we're talking about the Illuminati, we're talking about, it's a combination of, it's a combination of people in the world that have amassed an unbelievable amount of wealth. It's wealth, it's money, right? Money, but also the military industrial complex, the production and control of weapons and aircraft and things that are can kill large numbers of people, right? nukes and things are involved, as well as the education and religious sides to things. Basically, a lot of the influence over everybody's worldview, how the people picture the world, or learning truths, spiritual, secular, all this stuff. That's in the educational, and psychological, and religious realms. And we're talking about many other things too. I'll get to in a bit, but we're talking about again a group of people that are somewhat diverse in what they bring to the Illuminati, but it's something that's been in existence. Modern Illuminati has been in existence since, as far as I know, the 1800s, thereabouts. I don't think that there's a connection with the modern Illuminati and Adam Weishaupt. I think was he the first guy who wanted Detroit, started the Bavarian Illuminati. I think that group is different. This group I'm talking about, I'm just going off of. There's a lot more to this. The origins of Illuminati were very sort of secret, and you might think that there's a connection with Germany. There is, but Switzerland in particular. But it's also very linked with the Rothschilds and Rockefellers. And it's very London, so more connected with London, New York City, the centers of world power and finances, and again money, and essentially, okay. So getting into just the Jesuit order is the order that we're talking about here, the suspect, along with the Black Pope, let's say, because the Catholic Church and Catholics are of course great people. Many of my friends have been Catholic. So I'm not talking about, I'm not going to talk about beliefs in the Catholic Church in this. This is not, no, I'm talking about religious beliefs. We're talking, in this video, we're talking about the influence that the Catholic Church has, the power that it has, but again, its wealth and looking at the Jesuit order and the Black Pope. Again, there are a lot of things that I have read about the Vatican and these old secret societies that exist in the Vatican, or secrets, or certain cardinals, or sometimes certain popes that are kind of dark side. We could say the dark side of the church. But again, these are many of these things are not. Either I'm not sure. I have a lot of uncertainty about some of these things. Some things, though, are more in the public eye. Everybody knows about a lot of the cases of child molestation, right? This is a little bit more in the public eye, but and then of course there's rumors of satanic symbols below the Vatican, and all this old history, right? A lot of things, again, a lot of what I'm talking about here is not very would not be, I would imagine, would be not very pleasant to hear from people who are very strongly Catholic, right? And a lot of Catholics are just more, I think, generally Christian. I don't know if there's as much of a loyalty to the church in Italy. And a lot of Italians, are very strong Catholic. There's a lot of Catholics in Latin America, Philippines, and things. And all I'm talking about here is just what's happening in Rome, because the Catholic Church is very, very big, and there are a lot of great things about it. But really, looking at the Vatican, looking at the cardinals and the Pope, but sometimes I've actually heard of some popes actually being more admirable, particularly more admirable. So it's just, I'm sure a lot of cardinals are good men. I know this, but there are definitely some that are, suspect. And again, I'm looking at that Jesuit order. This is an order that's been rumored to have an extraordinarily high level of power and influence in the church, in the Catholic Church, and in the world. And so, the funding of Notre Dame University, for instance, it's very linked to the Jesuit order. In fact, the Jesuit order There's a lot of different organizations that just what orders connected to. But it's just I'm looking at the Black Pope, which is I think that the leader, as far as I know, the leader of the Jesuit order. The Black Pope, and again, it's only some of the cardinals and Jesuit order. So, and then of course there's the rumors about the bad things underneath the Vatican, right? And there's other things I can mention that are a bit more, let's just say, just having to do with the Catholic Church in particular. Again, they're talking about a very, very big church. It's a very, very big church. And there's a lot of good Catholics. So it's really important that people don't get the wrong idea of what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that I definitely have an open mind when it comes to very open mind when it comes to a lot of the goings on of the Vatican. And yes, I've seen the picture of the very sinister looking throne of the Pope. There's all these kinds of things that this images of, I don't know, it's pagan essentially, but a lot of people have said that it's connected with Satan or something. I've seen a lot of things. Right? I've read a lot of things. Enough so that I'm like, not to mention a lot of rumors about demons in the Vatican. And a lot of the Vatican exorcists saying there's something very wrong with the Vatican, period. Like it's just this never-ending evil that exists there. Why? And so Catholics, don't get me wrong, right? I am not talking about religious beliefs. That's all fine and good, right? That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about, it may have some connection with old paganism, Constantine, that sort of thing, but it has more in particular. What I'm talking about is modern times, the connection with the Illuminati and the Jesuit order, how they are connected. There are a number of things that cause me to think that there's something to this. All right, let's go on from here. We can talk a lot more about that very subject. But okay, Skull and Bones. So I guess I saw a while back when I was in college. I saw the movie The Skulls, right, with Paul Walker and a few other folks. Okay, so it was actually something that reaffirmed things that I heard from my grandpa at an earlier time, when I was like 20. So, 1920. So, yeah, the Skull and Bones, this organization that existed since, I don't know, 1700s, again, 1800s, in Yale University, very connected with New England and England. So we're talking about, it's very WASP, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant sounding kind of organization. Now, not just people of English descent or Scottish or Scandinavian German or whatever. Not just white, but there's other people that are in the Skull and Bones Society that are of other backgrounds, but it's predominantly white. But more especially, we call it's kind of old families, old money, right? Those folks are often more connected with the Skull and Bones. And again, I know, there's enough out there to say, yes, this is a real group, right? President Bush has been interviewed before, and if he has actually confirmed its existence. John Kerry, same thing. These are two people in politics among many other people that have been in the Skull and Bones Society. I'm more inclined to believe things about the Skull and Bones group, about what they're all about what they do. More inclined to believe that stuff than I am even the Jesuit order stuff. I don't want to believe the bad things about the Catholic Church. Trust me, I don't. I'm talking about my friends here. It is not pleasant to hear these things about the Catholic Church because it really does I've had ancestors that were members of the Catholic Church, okay, from southern Germany. So I don't like to talk about that. It's interesting and it's mysterious and intriguing, but it's not. I realize that this is not something that is very pleasant for a lot of people out there to hear. Okay, so again, I want to reaffirm before I go on any farther. I know I'm talking about skull and bones here, but I'm not talking about the Catholic Church and its beliefs. I'm talking just about the Jesuit order in particular being suspect to be connected with the Illuminati, particularly in financial aspects, and also maybe in terms of any kind of cooperation, I guess you could say. The skull and bones is very, again, connected with New England. Not just New England, but America in general, United States, and also perhaps England too. As far as I know, it could be other places too. And this is just one of many different connections and things that make the Illuminati. And Skull and Bones is very connected with U.S. politics, of course. Yes, they have these things where they, I'm sure that they do have tabs on everyone. They know everybody's darkest secrets. So if anybody wanted to try to fight the system and battle the Illuminati, Skull and Bones, whatever, all connected. But if anybody wanted to try to get out or try to, these things are in place to, cause someone to not always be very successful in doing that. Yes, they have a lot of perks, and it seems like they always have things go their way, and they have tons and tons of limitless amounts of money because it's like everybody's pooling their resources from some of the wealthiest people in the world, really, in the United States in particular. And so I do pay more attention. I am more inclined to believe that kind of stuff. With Skull and Bones Society, the Bohemian Grove. This is the next kind of thing. The Bohemian Grove and Skull and Bones, they are more directly connected because we're talking about a very American kind of thing here, not Europe, not something else. Bohemian Grove is this camp in Northern California. Yes, again, it's a real place. It very much is a real place. There are workers that have talked about this place. There have been protests there. This camp is cut off from the rest of the world. Media is not allowed to go in, right? And it's this place where there's just the wealthiest people in the world, or just the most influential, the leaders of every single area of human endeavor, right? So we are talking about banks and financial institutions, and the most powerful of them, the wealthiest of them. We're talking about media, the big guys in media, right? George Soros, I'm sure, people that run Fox. A lot of times the conservatives, again, are really kind of, pointing the finger at, this right, but it's everyone. It's Democrats and it's conservatives. And it's liberals and conservatives. It's everyone, right? And many other people in media that I'm not thinking of, but if it's someone you've heard of in the media, it's like owns media companies, right? They probably have been approached to be a member of the Bohemian Grove, I'm sure. They're a big name, right? So we got the military-industrial complex. Obviously, any big company that makes huge weapons, big weapons, bombs, nukes, whatever, fighter jets. I mean, right here in Northwest, imagine the leaders of Boeing, and of course Chicago. A few other places. Boeing's probably very related. Lockheed Martin. Okay, so the military-industrial complex is part of a lot of leaders here are part of this group. Talking about, I already mentioned media and communication, also education, leaders in education, but particularly those that are more about in agreement with secular humanism and anything that's in agreement with the Illuminati, right? Okay, so also leaders of big food corporations and agriculture. So obviously Monsanto would probably be, so, any groups that are kind of about some devious things which get to do with a little bit later. But all the big food companies, I imagine, the biggest ones, So, transportation, energy, of course, so the big energy companies. These are all, people that are invited to this, growth. And it's said to be, it's a fun place. It's a camp, right? They just have good camp food and they sing campfire songs and they have a good time. And they have lectures and things or, presentations. And it's a great place to kind of network and meet people, right? And make good connections, right? Awesome connections. You got this weird owl. Okay, yes, Alex Jones is one of the big names here. Went in to infiltrate this. A lot of people point the finger at Alex Jones as being secretly part of the Illuminati. Yes, I understand all that. That's all I understand all that stuff, right? Okay, so you have this big gigantic owl that looks really weird, and this big bonfire right by this giant owl, and you got weird this play that they play Wagnerian music, and it's a little bit ceremonial. It's kind of rite. Rumors of it being kind of related to this Babylonian thing, and it seems kind of dark. And even rumors of child sacrifice. Kidnapping, killing kids, and sacrificing them to, I guess, Moloch or Baal or something, or El God, or essentially Satan, right? Okay, so, and oh boy, that's, yeah, so, I've heard all that stuff, right? And as well as a lot of these bad things that happen in the world, a lot of it being discussed at places like the Bohemian Grove. We have all these different camps, like the Mandalay camp, and I don't know, Hillbillies camp. It doesn't look good, right? It'd be so nice to be able to just take a bunch of video cameras and go everywhere and follow around every politician, every powerful person in the world that's invited here, and just have a huge documentary on it and follow everybody around 24/7. They probably would never talk about anything controversial, but there's a good chance that something like, I don't know, if they were being followed around by a video camera, so already people can't do that because it's closed to the general public. So anything that's closed to the general public, it's already kind of like, you already have that kind of, what are they talking about that we're not supposed to know about, right? Okay, so just at the outset, I'm going to talk really quick. This is a good place to get into this right now. Of course, there's rumors. There have been rumors for quite some time about connections between the Mormon Church, the LDS Church, and the Masons that are connected with the Illuminati. And particularly how our temples, right, are not just anybody can go in there. Our churches, yes, anybody can go in, but not the temples, right? So there's rumors. So again, it's a secret place, just like the Bohemian Grove, right? Well, here's the thing: they should not have done this, but people have gone into temples and have videotaped ceremonies and things there already. But that act was very not cool, and for a number of reasons. But some reasons, which I believe, if my church is true, I believe it is true. But I mean, if it is spiritually binding in heaven as it is on earth, everything we do, then what they're doing is it's very dangerous spiritually what they're doing. But again, it depends on what you believe. But at the very least, would you want to? I mean, okay. The best way of explaining this particular concept, because now I'm putting myself on the hot seat, right? In a sense, you have marriages, you have baptisms for people that have died that they can't be baptized because they're dead. Baptisms for dead, and then you have endowments. Endowments are just it's like a additional blessing of additional spiritual power that comes into someone's life, and those are the three we call ordinances that are done in the temple, and also as well as endowments and marriages for those who have died as well. if they want to accept those, you know. And along with sometimes you have cafeterias, sometimes you have family history things that are associated with the temple, but that's basically what goes on in temples. Along with there being rooms for people just to contemplate things, and there's changing rooms and things, of course, because we're right in the temple. And of course, the leaders of my church in the Salt Lake Temple will go to pray and meditate and things, reflect on things in the uppermost floor in the Salt Lake Temple, and that this is all yes, but there's nothing going on in the temples ever that is even remotely connected with anything I'm talking about here. So, but I thought I'd at least mention these things because it's anything that is secretive is automatically suspect and as being, well, again, what why can't we go in there? There's more than one reason why these places don't just let the public in, the general public. So I realize that there's more than one reason, more than even two reasons sometimes. But what I'm trying to say is that the reason why the Bohemian Grove is not, the general public's not allowed. It's not because they're doing anything there that is. It's not just benign. It's not just good things or just religious things. They are up to no good, right? Up to some really bad things. And yes, there have been a lot of there are workers there, and so a lot of workers can going in and out, and other. Okay, the kinds of rumors you hear, aside from the the schemes, it's like I've heard of how can we wipe out the population of Southern Africa, for instance, with AIDS, not just AIDS, but how can we wars, right? Starting wars are discussed here. How can we get these guys? Oh yes, this is perfect. We can get these guys riled up, and I mean, for all I know, the number of refugees or immigrants to Sweden has probably been something cooked up at the Bohemian Grove for a certain reason. Why? Maybe they want to start a world war. They've been trying to, this is one of the best ways to start up a world war is, whites versus Arabs, Christians versus Muslims. They knew it would work, and get people fired up enough about something that's going on that was bad. Okay, so I'm inclined to believe things about the Bohemian Grove and the Skull and Bones. I would not like to believe things about the Jesuit Order, okay, but I can't discount it completely. All right. I was going to mention something else, but there are people that there's a lot of gay activity, a lot of homosexual activity. People say in Bohemian Grove. There's a lot of people urinating on trees, naked, or I don't know. Just some, along with some very perverse kinds of things. It's a dark place. It's not anybody who has a better character who would ever be invited to Bohemian Grove. Hopefully, they have a good time. I imagine some people have gone to Bohemian Grove. Hopefully, again, they probably have had good food and it's been fun. Hopefully, but I imagine, they probably will sense that evil spirit that's there, and I'm sure it's very much there. There very much is a very evil. I am very certain of this. Anyway, just from what I've seen, from what I read. So, but it's not 100%, but it's definitely more than 50% evident. Particularly in the case of the Bohemian Grove, it's an actual place. Right. The 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemasons, and the whole Masonic thing, right? Okay, so basically what we're talking about, the Masons are an organization from Europe, particularly Great Britain, right? England, Wales, Scotland, Ireland, and thereabouts. But really more associated with the British Isles, but probably other parts of Europe as well, France and Germany, that sort of thing. But we're talking about not anciently, we're talking about essentially the Crusades, right? During the Crusades, and all these knights and things, kings and knights, and a bunch of warriors. archers and all kinds of guys that are armed to the teeth, have all kinds of weapons. From Western Europe mainly. Western Europe, Christian knights, kings, that sort of thing, went down. We're trying to liberate the Holy Land, right? We're saying we didn't want the Saracen infidel. We don't want the Arabs, the Muslims there. This is the land of of Jesus, of Christianity, right? Okay, so that was the whole idea. But I'm sure that a lot of the folks that went down to Europe to Israel were also after things other than liberating the land from Muslims. Okay, so like gold and like other things. Okay, land, and you can keep going, right? More selfish reasons or more sinister reasons. So when the kings and the knights and the noblemen and everybody who was fighting, when they were down there and they went through Solomon's temple, all these religious places in Israel, ancient Israel, they saw a lot of symbols. They learned about a lot of things, even including some ancient world ceremonies, right? And they brought all that stuff back with them. And I am a little bit less familiar with the connection with the term Mason and what was going on here. A Mason being like a stonemason or thereabouts, someone handling heavy rock, stone, brick, masons, basically, right? I believe it has something to do with the connection with masonry, and building as something like a temple. And I think that there's something to that. But all these guys, European guys, went back to Europe after the Crusades were over, right? Well, the Crusades were, we'll say, unsuccessful, kind of. I guess the Europeans were there for quite a while. Eventually they went back, and the Saracens just took the land back again. But then, over time, other empires came in there. Eventually, as we know, in modern times, Great Britain was extremely powerful amongst other European powers that went down, and after World War II, it made Israel a state. Great Britain has had extraordinary power. So, but the Crusades, I imagine they did some good things, hopefully. I don't know. It's certainly a bloodbath out there, though. So, there was no real victor. I suppose that the Europeans just didn't want to stay down there. I don't know. Maybe they're just, maybe kind of like the Vietnam War. Maybe we just were like, yeah, why are we here? Kind of thing. I don't know. That's a different matter. But the Crusades. But basically, the Masons started out with all these great ceremonies and these symbols and things. And it was a group of European men, I think it's just men, and they got together and they talked and they had these rites that they did, and sure, and colorful kinds of things, interesting things, mysterious things, symbolic things. Then eventually you get down to our more recent times, and the Masons were, if you're a Mason, member of a Masonic lodge, you had that great connection with other Masons. If I wanted to right now, I could find the nearest Masonic lodge, and I could be a Mason. They have different degrees, right? There's nothing wrong with being a Mason, right? On some level, it's like joining the Elks Lodge or joining, whatever. I could seriously see myself being a Mason, because what they are is just a fraternal order of guys, right? Oftentimes older men, but it's guys. And what do we talk about? We talk about all kinds of great stuff, right? I don't know, what was Fred Flintstone? He had some kind of group he went to, guys group, right? So where does the sinister thing come into play? Well, there's the different degrees in Masonry, 1 through 33. I think there was originally, I don't know if it was originally 33, it might have been a little bit less than that, but eventually the top degree, right, was, I remember this name, Albert Pike, right? It's kind of a big name there, and this 33rd degree came to be made up of men who were very, very powerful and wealthy, And at some point, they became connected with the Illuminati, right? Because they were, a lot of the same men were, you know, government leaders and very wealthy men and that sort of thing. So, but it's just, the funny thing is that, so yeah, you could be a member of any degree, not even know about this 33rd degree, right? Not have anything to do with them. You could be Christian and Mason, no problem. What is the 33rd degree? What do they do? Well, each lodge is independent of the other lodge, right? They still have some of the same kinds of cool things they do, we'll say. And they still do a lot of the same philanthropic work, or, I don't know, good things, right? The 33rd degree, based in Washington, D.C. So I've actually read something online from a gentleman who was Christian. He had some really dark experiences, to say the least, at a meeting that he was invited to in Washington, D.C. Just in general, we're talking about a lot of skeletons. Well, the building itself was very, all kinds of symbols, suns and moons and things, and might sound a little bit fantasy-ish, but just the compass, I don't know, all the Masonic symbols that you've heard of. It was all over the place in this building, but they had this real kind of dark sacrament thing they did. Again, involving skeletons. It reminds you of Skull and Bones a little bit. They had to take vows that were very evil sounding, renounce their Christian beliefs. It didn't matter to them, this group, that was, they met with this gentleman at some point, in Washington, D.C. It didn't matter to them what his original religion was. What mattered to them was that he was willing to renounce anything that was against what they were after and what they were all about, and it was essentially a worship of Lucifer, I'll just say. So, there's other things he described that I can't either. I try to push it out of my mind, or just very, very, very evil, very dark. And he ended up walking out of that place. Said, "Nope, I don't want to have anything to do with you guys." He didn't have anything to do with them ever again. You have to be invited by this group to be there. Right? This is just like the Bilderberger Group, just like Rockefellers. They have security all over the place. There's just no way you can get into this place without getting gunned down or being arrested or something. Yeah. So, I'm sure that people will find a way and means at some point, and when it leaks on YouTube, it's going to be huge. Huge, right? It's going to be huge. Yeah, I mean, you can always disbelieve in anything you read, a person's experiences. You can always say, "Oh, I made some of that up," but yeah, it's quite detailed. So I believe him. Okay, so we gotta go on. There's a lot of things going on here. This subject. Okay, so I've already talked about rumors of my church and Illuminati, and I don't believe that there's a connection. Say what you want about Mitt Romney or anyone else. There are some very wealthy Mormons. It's true, and yes, it's true. We are very white in the United States, in particular. Someone might see that kind of connection. Just because you're white doesn't mean really anything, okay? But yeah, I can see why some people might see those connections. There is no connection. There's not a grain of truth to it. Everything about my church is very, very we talk all the time about things, everything from sexual morality to being generous with people that are poor to working really hard and not living off the merits of anyone else to, patriotism, to loving people of other countries, to, we even try to seek out people that are, we call it, they're up to, what is that? Secret combinations. That's a kind of it's a Mormon term. Secret combinations. What that means is we're talking about essentially the Illuminati. So we are some of the people that are trying to figure this stuff out. We're some of the people that are trying to expose these folks. We're not allied with them. But it's up to every one of you guys watching this to understand this for yourselves. We're actually anti-Illuminati. I mean, there's a lot of people that are anti-Illuminati, like truthers, and preppers. But we're one of you guys. We're not we're not those guys. But anybody who is very wealthy, who's white, there's sometimes that connection that can be made, and as well as like the secrecy thing. I understand the hoarding of food. We're gonna get to hoarding of food here in a bit, right? And storage of food storage and all that stuff. Okay, so let's get to the Illuminati is nonpartisan. It is. It's nonpartisan. What is it all about? If there's any kind of political aspect to the Illuminati, well, the Illuminati, I'll get to more what they're after. But basically, think of it kind of like this. In a nutshell, you have the most powerful people in the world. What do they want? More power. So I imagine there's probably a lot of sexual morality. Of course, they want women. Whatever, and they're homosexual, I don't know. They do all that kind of bad stuff. They want the best food in the world. Sure, they have 5-star, the best chefs cooking for them because they have billions of dollars. they can go where they want. They can do what they want. They can, nothing's forbidden. Right? These people have everything. Talking about David Rockefeller. I know he's very old, but the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds. Talking about there's some other folks, I can't think of them right now, but anyway. So they're nonpartisan. The conservatives and Republicans, as well as the Democrats and liberals in the United States, but only we call it the establishment. It's the word establishment, I think, is what we're talking about here, but still, okay. But so there are many liberals and many conservatives, both people aligned with both parties, or moderates, or whoever else, that have nothing to do with the Illuminati. Of course, obviously. But there are people of every political persuasion, but more particularly, I think we're talking about the major two parties, the Republican and Democrat Party in the United States, that are very connected with the Illuminati. Again, just a small percentage of them, and they're usually these guys are very wealthy. Connected with, we call it the old money, the old family thing, right? As well as not only just the United States, but also in Europe. But goodness knows, maybe there's other places too in the world where the Illuminati has connections. I wouldn't be surprised if Japan has got a few folks in there connected with the Illuminati. That's mentioned in many other places. So, the Illuminati is nonpartisan. It's neither Republican nor Democrat. It's very important to understand. It's very, very important. This is why if people from any other party have a hard time getting on TV, even debating people. When Ron Paul tried to do that, he wasn't taken very seriously, or Ralph Nader or anyone else from the Green Party. They're laughed off the stage. Why is that? Because the major two parties are both controlled by the Illuminati. This is very. I see this. I see this. This is just. Yeah, it is what is going on. Okay, so no matter how many awesome conservatives, and believe me, conservatives have so many good people that want to back a good, strong Republican leader like Reagan, right? We still have a lot of love of Reagan, but even Reagan probably had, unfortunately, some connections with the Illuminati. And as much as it pained me to talk about the Catholic Church, it also pained me to talk about Reagan having a connection with the Illuminati because I would think maybe he had to. He realized he maybe had to work with these guys to be the president. So, okay. My grandpa mentioned that basically anybody after Eisenhower, any president after Eisenhower, was more aware of the Illuminati running things, truly running things. Um, what often happens, by the way, with the American president when they're elected, there's a lot of things that they become more aware of. I'm sure, well before that time, but I imagine some U.S. presidents probably it's like they get a phone call from some person that just it's very threatening and it's very dark, or that's not necessarily threatening, but it's like if you do this, this is going to happen. If you do this, it's going to happen. Something bad's going to happen. We basically own you. We control you. Look around you. All these Secret Service agents, they're all owned by us. All these people, they're all part of our group. You can be part of our group, or you can try to do things your way. But if you try to do things your way, we can assassinate you, and no one would. We control everything. They might get a phone call like that. Who knows? But maybe they get that phone call several years before becoming a president. If someone is, because they see there are these people that are supported by the Illuminati. It all depends. The Illuminati run U.S. politics. Okay, they are the reason why so many of you out there from different countries hate the United States. They are the reason. They are the reason. Look. What happens in America? You can blame the United States. You can blame American citizens all you want to for the government, but it doesn't work that way because the media does not report on these guys. We don't know what's going on. The CIA never reports on what's going on. The CIA, yes, they report on these hearings and things. Why do people roll their eyes in hearings? Why does it seem like it's just there's nothing really being done? Why? I've had the feeling so many times watching C-SPAN. What am I watching? Nothing. You might think, oh, they're talking about this bill, right? But what does that bill really matter? I mean, nothing that we ever hear about. Okay, Obama's health care plan. But really, when it comes down to it, yeah, you might think that's a big deal, but okay, this is what's a big deal. This is what the Illuminati control. The Illuminati control food. They control actually access to medical care, so there's some kind of crossover there. But more especially, what they control is the kinds of people that can get the best medical care. We'll just put it that way. Or they definitely have a hand in it. But they, again, the war, anything having to do with war, military, they control. Certainly control money, banks. Any company that's in hot water, they can bail them out, but they say no, you have to do things our way. Heck, let's just step out of the box here. Any president of any country outside of the West that wants to be the president's anti-Illuminati, right? We don't like the Illuminati. In order to do trade, in order to bring in food and things that they need and other things that they need from other countries, in order to be protected militarily or not to be a target of the Illuminati, in order for things to be okay for its citizens, they have to work with the Illuminati. And the Illuminati's, they won't know it's the Illuminati sometimes. Maybe it's just some really wealthy guy. It's okay, we'll help you out with this or this and this. A lot of times, right? We're talking about the United States in the Western Hemisphere. We're talking about the United States. Why do so many Latin Americans not like what's going on? Well, it's the Illuminati. It's not us. I have never, my entire life, I have never said or done anything of any power, political power. I virtually have no political power other than voting, right? Which is kind of a laughable idea to begin with. That we actually have the power. We'll get to all that here in a bit, but this is why people hate us. Okay, so I got to go on here. Okay, the CIA and FBI, they absolutely are very connected. I mean, they are Illuminati. If the leaders of those groups or the higher ups are not themselves connected, then they have to work with them. Particularly the CIA, but also the FBI. Do I need to mention? Yeah, I will mention it. George H.W. Bush, George Herbert Walker Bush, leader of the CIA. My gosh, is he Illuminati? He's as Illuminati as they come. Okay, rumors of FEMA camps and old Walmart stores. Oh boy, I've heard about this recently on YouTube, and it's the rumors of FEMA camps. I don't care if you have seen what Snopes has read or not. What the people that run Snopes, what do they know? What do they know? Why would someone go to Snopes to figure out what's true all the time? It's like going to anyone, really. Because what do they know that we don't know? They spend a lot of time researching these things. But really, we're talking about, there's definitely some human error there. And it doesn't matter if they're liberal or not. They're not, it's just some couple in Canada or something, I think. So, rumors of, there's a reason it's, FEMA camps, why would the government be making all these, the U.S. government, why would the American government be making all these camps? Well, maybe it's because there will become a time when the Illuminati, they're sick of not owning enough. They want to own more, even more. They want our houses. They want every piece of land they can get. They can have, right? They want everything. That's what I'm trying to say. Everything. And what are they going to do with people after they confiscate everything these people have? Are they going to ship them off to FEMA camps? What are they going to do with the FEMA camps? Labor? Kill them? What are they going to? Hopefully, are people that are going to be in these FEMA camps? Assuming this is true, what's really going to happen? Are people going to be able to eat 3 squares a day, get plenty of healthy food? Hopefully. As far as it could be, you could probably never have beef again. Never have fresh berries or fruit. Probably never have, I don't know, some chicken. They'd probably just serve cold soup, and you're lucky if you get beans. Whatever sustains life. Because it's going to be like a concentration camp. Why would they just kill people? Well, I've seen, there's a bunch of coffins out there too. I've seen this. Okay, I have no reason to believe any of this stuff does not exist. I have no reason to believe that this is all hooey. There's no reason whatsoever. Oh, people laugh about it. Oh, yeah, FEMA. No. Look, there is nothing that told me this is not happening. Nothing. This stuff could and I've seen the videos about the Walmart stores. The Walmart stores have gone out of business, but instead of this building being converted into something else, a different business, it's taken over by, I'm assuming, the government, but it's not officially the government. But it's like, I've seen the videos, right? I can't discount this. I can't. So, this is kind of already 8 points we're talking about here. Let's keep going. Oh man, there's lots. Sorry, this is going to be a longer video. Okay, so we talked about already how the Illuminati has power over American presidents. They absolutely do. American presidents are puppets. If any American president ever had any real power, that power can be yanked away so fast because of what they know about. They have dirt in everyone. All the things that they don't want anybody to know about, otherwise, they'd be thrown in jail or executed, for all I know. They have dirt in everyone, so the presidents have to do what they have to do. I would assume Reagan was actually a very good man, but I imagine they probably still have some things about him. If they don't have any secrets, anything bad about someone, then they can at least try to assassinate him, which is what happened to Reagan, by the way. And yes, anybody who is an assassin or anybody who tries to kill a president or governor, but say president, hey, the Illuminati can. They say, we weren't involved. I've heard things like they train people their entire lives to do this stuff, and the brainwashing, right? Illuminati mind control. You say something or you do something, and this person snaps and acts completely different. I can't discount that either. There's no way to disprove it. Everybody I've ever talked to in real life, everybody I've talked to in real life, and everybody I've watched on YouTube, the frustrating thing about all this stuff is that there's no way to disprove it, right? So you can't disprove it. You can try to, but spend your entire life trying to disprove it. So what other, you can either say, I don't know, or you can believe it. You can say it sounds ridiculous, but that's different than saying it doesn't exist, or it's not true. Right? It's different, right? It's different. So, I mean, look, is Donald Trump Is Donald J. Trump a member of the Illuminati? Gosh, the question's been asked so many times before. It's ridiculous. I mean, the hope of so many people in the United States has been the reason why they elected Trump, that he wasn't a member of the Illuminati. He was going to clean out the swamp, that he was anti-establishment, right? And even Newt Gingrich, came on TV and said, hey, Trump, I don't know, he's not really a member of the establishment. Look, I'm talking about old money. I don't need to mention race. I think, I'm talking about the Northeast, not just the Northeast, but really, Okay, but what is Donald Trump? How can anybody say that he's anti-establishment, really, if nobody has a camera to, nobody has a video camera videotaping them their entire lives. How many people does Donald Trump know that are members of the Illuminati, but we just don't know about it? How many bankers does he know? That, we're talking about New York City, for crying out loud. New York City! Obviously, people that are higher ups in banks and financial institutions and big corporations, they know about Trump. Trump has had numerous interactions with these people throughout their lives. No. Look, is Trump a member of the Illuminati? He doesn't have to be. He just has to go along with them. He can be unofficially an Illuminati. He can say, he can deny it all he wants to. All he has to do, though, is just say, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. And thanks for letting me, I know how to work with you guys. That kind of stuff. He doesn't have to be a member of Bohemian Grove. He doesn't have to, all kinds of, all he has to do is just say, okay, right? I am your guys' outsider. I will play the outsider if I can get this and this and this. And they say, okay, Trump will you get this. Okay, so I don't believe for one second that Trump is in any way, shape, or form remotely sympathetic toward regular Americans. No way. No way. And you can talk also about his character and things. Trump is no better than Clinton. It's just, I was happy when he was elected because, I'm so tired of having a Democrat, right, in office. Say what you want about Obama. I was so happy. But you know what? I wanted to be happy. But I knew in my heart of hearts, Trump is just like Clinton. He's just like, whoever else you might name. He's a womanizer. He just cares about money and sex. And doesn't care at all about anything good. He goes to some church on occasion. Has some superficial connection with white Christianity. Sure. I mean, just what anything to cushion the popular vote, which doesn't. Let's be honest here. If the media is controlled by the Illuminati, they can show what they want to show, and people are watching that TV. They're making decisions about what they're going to do. From what? From the media, right? You have to go outside of mainstream media to try to figure out if anything is about anybody, because if you trust mainstream media, there's definitely a lot of truth in mainstream media, of course. But what are they? They can hide stuff. They can distort stuff. They can do what they want. But they're never going to make the Illuminati look like the bad guys, right? They're never going to do that. So, Trump is an Illuminati. I voted for I can't remember. It's some other Republican Utah guy. I can't remember his name right now. I've never heard of him before. I only voted for him because he was only, I don't know. Yeah, it was a while back. Okay. Witchcraft and white supremacy. So this has a connection with those crazy ritual, bad, evil things you've heard about the Catholic Church sometimes. You've also probably heard similar things about my church, occasion about the eating babies things. Okay. Well, that's just, and then of course there's just the Church of Satan, Aleister Crowley, and all that kind of stuff. So, one of the weird things I've read about, and which makes some sense in a racist kind of way, or we'll say racial way, amongst all the evil things that people involved witchcraft do. And yes, there's also a connection with Illuminati and pop music and rock, rock, pop, all that stuff, right? The top 10, things that people, so it's stuff on the radio, right? And this, I've heard about the satanic ceremonies. They do all that stuff, and the brainwashing, all that stuff. And Hollywood and the Illuminati. Okay, that's all. See how multifaceted this subject is. So, witchcraft, white supremacy. If you sacrifice to Satan a white boy, I think it's a white boy, particularly a girl, but say a white boy of very high intelligence. So he has to be white. He has to be very, very intelligent. He has to be, I think, a virgin, of course, or just innocent, right? Righteous, but pure. That is the supreme sacrifice, right? And then you'll have whoever is doing that sacrifice. They'll have that much more power from Satan to do whatever. And we're talking about some very dark things. And I read this and I was like, and so the Illuminati would, if they were to sacrifice anyone, I don't know how what's involved here. When you hear about missing kids and things, I used to think, oh, this is just some weirdo, right? It's just some angry divorced dad that's kidnapping someone from his, it could be his kids, but he doesn't have custody of them right now, right? Something like that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know anymore. You would think that, looking at that kid and then you're, have you seen this kid, on some, I guess it's in newspapers now, but they used to have those little ads on cereal boxes or milk boxes or something, I don't know. I remember seeing those when I was younger. And I used to think, oh, that's why you don't talk to strangers, right? Don't talk to strangers. What's the word, right? What's the secret word, right? If I don't know you, but what's the secret word so that I know that you are really supposed to pick me up to go. So I remember all that the whole thing, right? It's sickening. It's beyond sickening. It's beyond sickening to think that the American government is behind child kidnapping, and goodness knows whatever else is going on, or kidnapping from other countries, from Italy, I don't know, you name it. I won't go into all the other things that they might are associated with the kidnapping thing, but it's horrendously, it's beyond, it's satanic, it's diabolical. If we knew a fraction of it, we'd burn Washington D.C. down, hang every single politician. But it's just not. It's covered up. The police don't. Imagine, are the police controlled by the Illuminati? Well, if the police are connected with the government, yes, everything. Yes, but individual cops, they hear rumors, they hear things. Individual cops don't have any clue. They have their opinions. So you see, there's a hierarchy of. It's a hierarchy, right? You're a regular cop, you're, what's next up? Sergeant, maybe. There's a few ranks below that, maybe, but you have sergeant, then you have captain, and a bunch of other folks that are, I don't know, right beneath captain. So regular police officer, sergeant, captain, eventually get the chief of police, but then the chief of police is only over the chief of their own little city. And then you get the FBI, right? You get the really senior ranking, you will say, folks that are involved with law enforcement in the United States. And the farther up you go, the more they know about these things. And at the lowest level, it sometimes seems like, minorities or like black people are very beaten down by cops. That's pretty obvious in the inner cities, right? For all I know, Illuminati just knew about all these things that black people would have a hard time with in their cities, and they just keep continuing the problem by saying, "Oh, we know what's going to happen. We don't have any use for these folks. Let's just keep giving them drugs." And like, look, I mean, there's such a. What I'm trying to say is there's a lot of people that are very involved in the Illuminati that not only have power, military, financial, educational power, but there's a lot of very, very intelligent people at the head here. A lot of people that know. And look, we're talking essentially about the people. Well, who is over the Illuminati? The devil. Is the devil very, very intelligent? Yes, he is. Who allows all of this to happen? Because overstated, in my opinion, is God. God is allowing this to happen right now for some reason. It's not going to last forever. It's crazy though. It's not cool. It's hard to imagine anything more diabolical than what's going on with Illuminati. But I imagine you can do that. And, I've done my own brainstorming of evil, diabolical characters. I've had some pretty dark ideas, but nothing I can remotely even think about would even compare with even the best things that this group does. Just think of this. Just think of this idea for a second. Some kid is kidnapped, and he's experimented on. Who knows? The Illuminati says we can use this person this way based on these things about this kid. He's really smart in this area. He's more athletic. Maybe we'll treat him to be an agent of ours. He's very easily brainwashed by what we can say to him. They figure all these things out about every kid that they kidnap. Some people, girls, they'll use as sex objects. I'm not going to get into that, but they'll. Then this kid's entire life, growing up, they might go back into society. He might not, and he's just used. It's like the Borg, right? But worse, the Borg is just an idea in Star Trek. That's just fiction. This is real, right? America, okay. So I'm familiar with some of these crazy things. I don't know why. I mean, I don't know. Some of the stuff goes back to the earliest times and whenever. I mean, witchcraft is as old as Adam and Eve, older. It's timeless, right? So, yes, I am familiar with some of these subjects. Many of them. I am familiar with all this stuff. So I mentioned the media doesn't report on the Illuminati. It doesn't. You never hear anything about the Illuminati from the media. Unless it's like something from like Newt Gingrich saying, "Oh, Trump is not. He's not establishment. He's Newt Gingrich. Yeah, he is definitely Illuminati. Doesn't matter how conservative or how family friendly he is. It's no. Okay. By the way, is Bill Gates a member of the Illuminati? Okay, I'm talking about a fellow Northwesterner. Look, I definitely don't think he was. I mean, for most of his life. And it's still, if he has any connection with those guys, and, it's kind of something that's, so many people would be allied with the Illuminati and not necessarily be official members of the Illuminati. You'd just be allied with them. I don't know. I mean, yes, he's very, very wealthy. So apparently Trump had some kind of meeting with all these, company presidents and CEOs and things. It sounds suspect because, well, we don't really know what happened in that meeting. That's just one of virtually thousands of meetings over time that, someone like Bill Gates could have had, or Jeff Bezos from Amazon, and why would the Illuminati be interested in those guys? Because of their money. Because of, well, some companies have more to offer the Illuminati. So we're talking about Amazon and talking about Microsoft. Obviously, we're talking about technology, right? We're talking about communication. Communication technology, in the case of Amazon, we're talking about distribution of goods, right? And there's other things too, right? Microsoft's involved with media, with entertainment, right? A little bit, yeah. Are they usable? Are they usable? I would not want. I would like to believe that Bill Gates doesn't want to have anything to do with those guys. I try to think of him in a good light. I have a relative of mine that worked at Microsoft. I don't want to think of, this is a Northwest company that I've grown up with. But like Boeing, again, but anyway. So, and it's always individuals that people work with, and they'll never talk about. Most of the time they won't use the words like Illuminati, unless they know someone is already very committed to what the Illuminati is about. I don't know. So, you can look at banks again. You can look at the military-industrial complex. Why do we have so many wars? What's the, it seems like these wars get started. Some of these big wars, because one government, it's a government thing, and the people that are trying to just survive are sometimes members of the military themselves, or they're affected by the military directly. The targets of military, actions. So they're either killed by missiles or bombs, relative that's killed, or sons that are in the military, so the sons get killed, and the sons they're in the military because that's one of the few jobs available to them. Everybody has to eat, and most people are powerless. And then we have these governments, can you think of a war that was started by civilians and people that didn't have anything to do with the government? If you have a war that is really kind of a grassroots war, it started, it doesn't really amount to a whole lot, doesn't it? It's kind of, and it's always in third world countries, and it's always some little skirmish, and sometimes you don't even know about these things because they're never hardly reported in media. I am referring more to Africa in this case, but also to a certain extent, maybe to a smaller extent, Latin America. But really, it's Africa, and basically, Africa and anywhere else. Maybe, I don't know, southern parts of Asia, on occasion, or Southeast Asia. But really talking about the tropical areas of the world, the oftentimes poorer areas of the world. And so, gosh, you could take an American bomber. I'm not kidding. Some of these small-scale wars, American bomber goes in there and says, you know what? Illuminati says, this little thing that's going on, it's too close to one of our pipelines, or oil pipeline, or it's too close to one of our interests. Let's take a bomber, just go in there and just blow them up, because we don't want to jeopardize this. What's in it for the Illuminati is money, right? It's resources or something, food. So the bomber goes in there, blows the snot out of everybody. It's involved in war. They're just fighting each other with little machine guns. If that, maybe hand-to-hand weapons, whatever they can get. Maybe they were supported by the CIA in the first place. So the bomber comes in there and just kills everyone, including civilians. And so okay, mission accomplished. Yep, just come on home. And we have movies like, Pandora, that's a world. Avatar. We have a movie like Avatar. It's so obviously, European, American, United States, Western world, military might versus some tribe in some area. In this case, it was an alien tribe, but it was pretty obvious that this tribe was, the alien tribe was very American Indian or African-ish, or something along those lines. And so, not as militarily developed, not as technological, not as whatever. And yes, look, that's one of countless movies. Why are we seeing so many of these movies? Is it... Yes, and then you have the rumors about the media, right? I mentioned this in another video a little bit. Movies that suggest end-time scenarios in Illuminati. We're seeing these movies and we're like, oh, it's terrible. Oh my gosh. Unobtainium, right? That's what they're after, right? And say, oh, well, obviously we side with the tribe, right? But it's almost like we're seeing all these movies, just like I mentioned another movie. It's almost like this kind of thing where they're prepping our minds to just accept what happens, these bad things that'll happen, that may happen in the future. Why are so many of these movies being made? We would think that maybe it's a good story. Well, I don't know. Hopefully that, but maybe there's something else behind it too. I don't know. Okay, so you have other organizations like the World Trade Organization, Council on Foreign Relations, Trilateral Commission, Bilderberg Group. All these groups that I don't know as a whole lot. I've heard about that G something conference where they have like a handful of the most powerful countries in the world that get together. G5 or G5, I don't know. And okay, so are these groups? What's their? Well, they all have websites. What they're all about. And do any of these groups? Let's just say right off the bat, do any of these groups actually help African people? The WTO does not. Council of Foreign Relations does not. That, as far as I know, the Council of Foreign Relations is just a how do we work with Russia and China that are not as much under the thumb of the Illuminati, especially China. The Council on Foreign Relations. Well, it's essentially the West trying to just win over on China, and especially China, but maybe Russia. Russia seems to be kind of, I don't know. Hopefully not Illuminati. But and then you have the Trilateral Commission, and the Bilderberg Group, and so all these groups are connected with the Illuminati. I'm not personally as familiar with these groups. I am familiar though with another agenda from the United Nations, Agenda 21, which is essentially world depopulation and essentially confiscation of wealth and, well, let's say just everything that we have. Because why? Because we're too populated. The world's too populated. We're going to run out of food for everyone, right? And amongst all the other nice things, there's these books that I think have been made for kids, and I've been hearing about them for a while, that are very environmentally oriented. Agenda 21, and people, behind Agenda 21, they get into the schools. They start talking to kids, trying to brainwash them about all this stuff, and, Agenda 21 is a good thing, right? And, government control of land instead of private ownership of land. Well, look at how, look at communism. Look at how that turned out. Well, instead of communism, what we're going to have is, good for, I don't know. So, I've seen the videos about the government hoarding resources, about the underground bunkers all over the place, but all the second and third and fourth and fifth and sixth and seventh and eighth and whoever, but many other things that happen when an American president's assassinated, and all the things that are, it's like all the plans that they're just iron tight. It's all connected. All the tunnels, There's a plan for everything the Illuminati's made. They are determined to stay in power. Nothing short of the power of Jesus or God will bring him down. But I would think that maybe many of us would be, tearing him down as well at some point. It's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. When this happens, when everything goes crazy, it's going to be nuts. It probably might not be just one event, but it might be several events. But however, I don't know. But again, what is the Illuminati after? Well, they're after survival, of course. They want to survive. That's why they have all these preparations in place and all this food that's been stored and all this stuff and seeds and everything. So when the war is all gone, when people are all toast, we're all dead, they can come up and they can restart the world again with what? Satanism, secular humanism. The Illuminati can, continue. That's what their goal is. It's not going to happen, but they're determined to make it happen. They're after survival. They're after depopulation of the world. They're after secularism, secular humanism. That's what they're all about. They're after control. They're after power. After wealth, money, and more of everything. Everything of value. They're after your car. They're after your food. They're after your rights. Because essentially, when you have guns pointed at you, you don't have any rights. So they're after your guns. They're after everything that could, they're after you. They even want to know. I've heard rumors that they're using Siri, and of course, they're using online things, and they've owned Google. I'm assuming Google's bowing to their will, and they can just spy on you like you would believe. And I remember one time I was so nervous about having some sticker put on my mailbox, some colored sticker, and I told this to some people, and I thought it was ludicrous, or So I heard about that rumor, and there's so many other things I've heard, and there's probably many other things I've heard I'm not even mentioning in this video, but it might seem like it makes a lot of sense to not believe most of this stuff. Folks, look. Even if you only believe a third of this or a fourth of this, every single one of these points isn't something that you can just brush off. It's not. We're talking about. There's nothing heavier, other than one's own spiritual salvation, choosing good or evil, right? There's not many things that are a bigger deal than this. This is probably the longest video I've made. I realize that it's a big subject. I just want to mention a few more things before I'm done. I haven't really talked about this subject as much before. Believe me, there's a lot of things I could mention that I haven't. I do apologize about that. I might make more videos with this in the future. If I'm targeted by the Illuminati, I'm just gonna give them the bird. I mean, I hate these guys. And what do I think of the people that have to work with them? Well, it just depends on their reasons. So it kind of varies, but think of the power that these guys have. Look, John F. Kennedy, and there's another guy who was former head of the FBI. You look at those two speeches they gave. John F. Kennedy was assassinated because of that speech. And then one of the former FBI guys. You watch those two, you listen to those two speeches alone. You'll never, ever, if you're a good, if you're a rationally minded person, you will never see the government the same way. A lot of people in the United States know something is very wrong with the U.S. government. We just don't know what. So we're looking for these things. I'm one of those people. I don't know that all this stuff is 100% true, but I know that there's a lot of truth to a lot of stuff. So most people now, at least in the United States, are familiar with these subjects, and we don't know. I mean, because the media is not reporting on this stuff. Apparently, Alex Jones seems to be one of the few people that is. But we often wonder, is Alex Jones? Why is he doing this? What's his motivation to do this? Oh, he's a red-blooded American. He's a patriot, right? Really? I mean, I don't know. So we live in a crazy time when there's a lot of crazy rumors going on, and we don't know who to trust. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that it's just not bogus. There's enough to this that and I think the Illuminati probably is aware of this too, that there is enough out there about them now that they're not quite as secret as they used to be. And you can watch videos on Woodrow Wilson and a lot of things about the Federal Reserve and Mark Dice videos. I don't agree with some of the things Mark Dice says, but he's certainly not a fan of my church. But there's a lot of people that talk about this very subject, and there's all these things that everybody's saying. We're looking for truth, okay? And we're trying to figure out, comparing the things we already know. What I'm trying to say to you folks out there watching this is, the United States government, for quite some time, and it's not just the U.S. government. The U.S. government has become essentially the major pawn, essentially with Illuminati. But the U.S. government is corrupt to the core, and it isn't. There's many congressmen that are fine. There's some, good people. Sometimes we'll have a president or two that are decent person. It could be that we have decent, even, justices, chief justices in the Supreme Court. We could have good people in national government, but that's still, there's a lot of bad stuff that is still going on, and it's like I'm trying to, and sometimes these things that turn up are not pleasant, right? What I'm trying to say is that I'm as opposed to Illuminati as anyone else out there. I might not have a gun, but I have a brain, and I have my fists and my legs, and at some point I might buy a gun. I'm not a ultra-conservative wacko. I'm just a regular, moderately conservative or conservative, nonpartisan American citizen. And there are a lot of people out call themselves by whatever names. They're basically in the same camp I am. There are people running for local offices, and state governments, and sometimes national governments that in the United States, that Western world, that I think are in the same ballpark I am as well. So definitely leave me your thoughts and comments below, and I'll catch you guys later. All right, take care.